The morning lights hummed softly on Colonial Outpost 7. The station floated at the edge of known space where 3 star systems met. Ships came and went, bringing traders and scientists from dozens of different worlds. The main corridor buzzed with activity. Insectoid Vrel merchants clicked their mandibles as they haggled over spice containers. Amphibious Thorans shuffled past on their webbed feet, their skin shifting colors with their moods. Avian Kelric scientists perched on specialized seats, their feathers rustling as they examined data tablets. Among all these alien species walked humans. They had only joined the galactic community 15 years ago. Most aliens still found them strange. Humans smiled with their teeth showing. They made loud noises when happy. They touched each other casually. But strangest of all, they brought animals with them. Dr. Bora Kim walked through the station's research wing, carrying a data pad and a small lunch container. She was a xenobiologist, someone who studied alien life, but her specialty was showing aliens how Earth life worked. Her dark hair was pulled back in a simple ponytail. She wore the standard blue research uniform of the station. Behind her, trying to keep up on short legs, was her 5-year-old daughter, Da-un. The little girl wore a bright yellow jumpsuit with cartoon stars on it. Her black hair bounced in 2 pigtails as she skipped and hopped, looking at everything with wide, curious eyes. "Mama, can I see Dubu today?" Taeyoon asked for the 3rd time that morning. Bora smiled. "After lunch, sweetie. I have to check on the other animals first." They passed a group of Vrel traders who pressed themselves against the wall. The insectoid's compound eyes followed Da-un nervously. One of them, Velthik, clicked his mandibles in concern. "Dr. Kim, is it safe for your offspring to be near the research wing?" "She's perfectly safe," Bora assured him. "The animals are all in secure enclosures." Velthik's antennae twitched. "I have seen your Earth documentaries. Your world is full of creatures that exist only to kill, and you keep them here on this station where we all live." Bora had heard this complaint before. Earth animals are not just killers. They're complex beings with behaviors you might find surprising. That's why I study them. The Vrel trader did not look convinced. He had watched nature documentaries about Earth. He had seen lions tear apart zebras. He had watched bears catch salmon from rivers. He had witnessed snakes inject venom into screaming prey. Earth was a nightmare world where everything ate everything else, and humans walked among these monsters like it was normal. Especially that black and white one, Velthik continued, the honey badger. I watched a video. It fought 6 lions. It ate a cobra. It dug through concrete. "Why do you keep such a demon on this station?" Taeyoon giggled. "Dubu is not a demon. Dubu is nice." All 3 of Velthik's eyes widened in horror. "You let your child near it?" "Dubu is surprisingly gentle with Da-un," Bora explained. "Not all Earth animals behave the same way in every situation. Context matters. Relationships matter." Velthik backed away slowly. "You humans are insane. Your planet made you insane. It is the only explanation." Bora and Da-un continued to the research lab. The door slid open with a soft hiss. Inside, the walls were lined with various habitats. There were tanks with fish, terrariums with lizards, and larger enclosures with small mammals. Each habitat was carefully controlled to match Earth conditions. In the far corner sat the largest enclosure. It was reinforced with triple-layer transparent aluminum, the strongest material the station had. Inside was Dubu, the honey badger. Dubu looked like a small dog, about 3 feet long. Its fur was black on the bottom and white on top, like someone had draped a white blanket over its back. It had small round ears, a pointed snout, and long claws designed for digging. Right now it was sleeping in a pile of soft material, looking almost peaceful. Taeyoon pressed her face against the enclosure wall. "Hi, Dubu," she whispered. The honey badger's ear twitched. One eye opened. When it saw Da-un, it made a low rumbling sound and stood up, stretching. "Mama, look. Dubu is happy to see me." Bora smiled, but she also made notes on her data pad. This behavior fascinated her. Honey badgers were notoriously aggressive and solitary. They feared nothing. They attacked anything. But Dubu had shown unusual tolerance toward Da-un from the first day. The animal allowed the child to watch it, talk to it, even press hands against the enclosure wall. When Da-un was not around, Dubu behaved like a normal honey badger, aggressive and territorial. But with the child present, something changed. "All right, sweetie, I need to feed the others. You can sit here and watch Dubu for a few minutes. But stay right here. Do not wander off. I promise, Mama." Bora moved to the other side of the lab, checking on the fish tanks and preparing food for various animals. She glanced back regularly to make sure Da-un was still sitting by Dubu's enclosure. What Bora did not see was Da-un spotting something shiny on the floor near the lab's back door. The little girl looked at her mother, who was busy with the fish tanks. Da-un stood up quietly and tiptoed toward the shiny object. It was a maintenance worker's ID badge. It must have fallen during a repair job. Da-un picked it up. The back door was slightly open, just a crack. She could see a corridor beyond it. The corridor had interesting pipes and lights. Da-un had never been in that part of the station before. She looked back at her mother one more time. Bora was focused on her work, making notes about the fish. Da-un pushed the door open a little more and slipped through. The maintenance corridor was dimmer than the main areas. Pipes ran along the walls and ceiling. Some of them hissed softly, others dripped with condensation. Da-un walked slowly, looking at everything. She did not realize she was getting farther and farther from the lab. Back in the research lab, Bora finished with the fish tanks and turned around. Da-un, do you want to help me with the... She stopped. The spot where Da-un had been sitting was empty. Da-un? Bora walked quickly around the lab, checking behind equipment and enclosures. Da-un, this is not funny. Where are you? No answer. Bora's heart began to beat faster. She noticed the back door was slightly open. Oh no. She ran to the door and looked into the maintenance corridor. Da-un. Her voice echoed down the empty passage. Behind her, inside the reinforced enclosure, Dubu stood up. The honey badger pressed its nose against the transparent wall, sniffing. Its eyes were focused on the open door. Something was wrong. The small human was gone, and the badger could sense it. Dubu began to pace, making low, anxious sounds. Its claws clicked against the floor of the enclosure. The peaceful creature from minutes ago was gone. Now there was only a restless predator, searching for something it could not reach. Da-un walked deeper into the maintenance corridor. The pipes above her head made strange gurgling sounds. She stopped to look at a panel covered with blinking lights. Red, green, yellow, blue. They blinked in patterns she did not understand. She reached up to touch one. Suddenly a loud hissing noise filled the corridor. Da-un jumped back. One of the large pipes near the ceiling had cracked. White vapor began pouring out like fog. It was cold, so cold that Da-un could see her breath. The temperature dropped fast. Da-un started to cough. The vapor smelled bad, like the cleaning chemicals her mother used in the lab, but much stronger. Her eyes watered. "Mama!" she called out, but her voice was small and weak. Red lights began flashing on the walls. A loud alarm blared through the corridor. Da-un covered her ears. She tried to run back the way she came, but the vapor was getting thicker. She could barely see. Her chest hurt when she breathed. Then the door at the end of the corridor slammed shut with a heavy metallic clang. Emergency lockdown. The station's safety systems had detected the leak and sealed the area automatically. Da-un ran to the door and pushed on it. It would not move. She pounded on it with her small fists. "Mama! Mama, help!" She coughed harder. The cold vapor was everywhere now, filling the corridor. Da-un sank down to the floor, pressing herself against the door. Tears ran down her cheeks. She was scared and cold, and it was hard to breathe. In the research lab, Bora heard the alarm. Her blood turned to ice. She ran to the door and saw the red emergency lights flashing in the maintenance corridor. A computer screen on the wall showed the problem. "Environmental control failure. Toxic coolant leak. Section sealed. No, no, no." Bora slammed her hand on the door controls. Nothing happened. She tried her security code. The door stayed locked. She grabbed her communicator. "This is Dr. Kim in Research Lab 4. My daughter is trapped in Maintenance Corridor C7. Environmental failure. I need emergency response now." The station's security chief responded immediately. "Dr. Kim, we see the problem. We're sending a team, but the override system is not responding. We need at least 10 minutes to manually unlock that door." 10 minutes? The coolant is toxic. How long does a human child have in there? There was a long pause. 8 minutes. Maybe 9 if she stays low where the air is slightly better. Bora felt her world collapse. "You have to get that door open faster." "We are trying, Dr. Kim. The engineering team is already on their way." Other station workers began arriving. Veltic the Vrel trader was there, his antennae drooping in distress. A Thorin named Casrel shifted through several shades of deep blue, the color of sadness in his species. A Kelric scientist called Vix perched nearby, her feathers fluffed in agitation. "Can we cut through the wall?" Casrell asked. These walls are reinforced, the security chief said over the communicator. Cutting would take longer than the override. Bo-Ra pressed her hands against the door. She could feel it was cold on the other side. "Da'un, baby, can you hear me?" A faint sound came from the other side. Coughing. Then a small voice. "Mama, cold. Can't see? Stay low, sweetie. Stay close to the door. Help is coming. Just hold on." Dr. Kim, Vic said quietly. "The security feed." "Look at the security feed." Someone had pulled up the camera view on a nearby screen. They could see Da'un huddled against the door, surrounded by white vapor. The little girl looked so small and helpless. The timer on the screen showed 7 minutes had already passed. Then Veltik made a clicking sound of alarm. "Dr. Kim, the honey badger." "It is gone." Bo-Ra spun around. Through the lab window, she could see Dubu's enclosure. The door was open. The enclosure was empty. How did it? Then she understood. The emergency lockdown had caused a power fluctuation. Some doors locked, others unlocked. Pure chance had opened the one thing that should never be opened. "Where is it?" Casrell asked, his skin turning pale green with fear. They checked the security cameras. The feeds showed different corridors, different rooms. Then they found it. Dubu was moving through the station ventilation system. The honey badger's powerful claws dug into the metal, pulling it forward through the narrow space. "It is tracking something," Vix observed. "See how it moves? It has a purpose." "It is following the child's scent," Bo-Ra whispered. She had read about this. Honey badgers had excellent noses. They could track prey for miles. Dubu was tracking Da'un. Veltik backed away from the screen. "It will kill her. We must stop it." "We must stop it how?" Bo-Ra said. "It is in the ventilation system. We cannot reach it. And even if we could," she did not finish the sentence. Everyone knew what honey badgers could do. They had all watched the nature documentaries. Nothing stopped a honey badger. Not lions, not cobras, not even humans with weapons. They were too fast, too strong, too angry. On the screen, they watched Dubu reach a junction in the ventilation system. The badger paused, sniffing. Then it turned down a specific path, the path that led toward Maintenance Corridor C7. "Oh, ancestors," Casrell breathed. "It is going to the child." Bo-Ra could not breathe. Her daughter was trapped in a room full of toxic gas, and one of Earth's most dangerous predators was hunting her. The engineering team would take at least 3 more minutes to open the door. Would Da'un even be alive by then? The security feed switched to a different camera, one with a view inside Maintenance Corridor C7. They could see Da'un through the white vapor. The little girl was curled up against the door, barely moving. She was running out of time. Then a ventilation grate on the wall began to rattle. Metal scraped against metal. Powerful claws dug at the edges. The grate fell away with a clang. Dubu emerged from the ventilation shaft. The honey badger dropped to the floor of the corridor. White toxic vapor swirled around it. The temperature was far below freezing. The air was full of poison. Dubu did not seem to notice. Its thick hide and dense fur protected it from the cold. Its legendary resistance to toxins meant the poison barely affected it. Everyone watching the security feed held their breath. This was it. This was the moment the predator would attack the helpless prey. Dubu walked toward Da'un. The little girl looked up through teary eyes. She coughed weakly. "Dubu?" The honey badger made a low rumbling sound. Then it did something that made every alien watching freeze in absolute shock. Dubu lay down beside Da'un. It pressed its body against the child, placing itself between her and the broken pipe that was leaking poison. The badger's thick hide blocked the worst of the vapor. Its warm body heat fought against the deadly cold. Da'un wrapped her small arms around Dubu. She buried her face in the badger's fur. "Dubu came," she whispered. "Dubu came to find me." The honey badger made soft rumbling sounds like a purr but deeper. It did not move away. It stayed there, shielding the child with its own body. In the corridor outside, nobody spoke. Nobody moved. They just stared at the screen, watching something that should not be possible. An apex predator, a creature known for attacking anything, was protecting a human child. "Impossible." Veltik's voice was barely a whisper. His compound eyes remained fixed on the security screen. "This cannot be real." Casrell's skin had turned white, the color his species showed when experiencing something beyond their understanding. "I am seeing it, but I do not believe it. The creature is protecting her?" Vix ruffled her feathers nervously. Predators do not protect prey. This is a fundamental rule of nature. It applies on every world we have studied. Apparently not on Earth, someone muttered. Bo-Ra watched the screen with tears streaming down her face. She had studied animal behavior for years. She knew the statistics, the patterns, the rules. But she also knew Earth. And Earth did not always follow the rules that worked everywhere else. On the screen, Da-Un coughed again. But the coughs were softer now. With Dubu blocking the worst of the toxic vapor and providing warmth, she could breathe a little better. The little girl kept her arms wrapped around the honey badger. Good Dubu, Da-Un whispered between coughs. You are such a good friend. The honey badger made its rumbling sound again. It shifted position slightly, making sure its body covered the child as much as possible. Its small eyes scanned the corridor, alert for any other threats. More station workers had gathered in the corridor outside the locked door. Word had spread quickly. A human child was trapped. A honey badger had somehow reached her, and instead of attacking, it was protecting her. Nobody could believe it. An elderly Thoran scientist pushed through the crowd. His name was Telmak, and he had studied xenobiology longer than most others had been alive. Dr. Kim, he said, his voice gravelly with age, I must ask, have you done something to that creature? Modified it? Programmed it somehow? Bo-Ra shook her head. Nothing. Dubu is a completely normal honey badger. I brought it from Earth 6 months ago for my research. I have not changed anything about it. Then how? Telmak gestured at the screen. How does a killer become a guardian? This violates every principle of evolutionary behavior. Does it? Bo-Ra wiped her eyes. Or does it violate what we think we know about evolutionary behavior? The security chief's voice came over the communicator. Dr. Kim, engineering team is 2 minutes away from override. Hurry, Bo-Ra pleaded. Please hurry. Velthik could not stop staring at the screen. He had seen many things in his years as a trader. He had visited dozens of worlds, met hundreds of species, but this moment was changing something fundamental in how he understood the universe. I watched a documentary, he said quietly, about Earth creatures called dogs. The documentary said humans turned wolves into dogs. Wolves, pack hunters that killed everything, and humans made them into companions, friends. I thought it was propaganda. Humans trying to make themselves look special. Bo-Ra glanced at him. It is not propaganda. It is history. Humans have been forming bonds with animals for thousands of generations. Dogs, cats, horses, birds, even some reptiles. We learn to communicate across species barriers. But honey badgers? Casrel's skin flickered between white and blue. They are not dogs. They are not domesticated. According to your own Earth records, they attack humans regularly. They do, Bo-Ra admitted. Dubu would probably attack me if I tried to enter its enclosure. It would attack any adult. Padan! She paused, trying to find the right words. Dayun approached Dubu differently. She was never afraid. She never saw Dubu as a threat. She just saw another living being. And somehow Dubu responded to that. Vix tilted her head, her avian eyes bright with curiosity. You are suggesting the creature recognized the child's lack of hostile intent? Maybe. Or maybe it is something deeper. Something about Earth's evolution that we do not fully understand yet. On the screen, the timer showed 12 minutes had passed. Tayan should have been unconscious by now. The toxic coolant should have overwhelmed her small body. But Dubu's presence was keeping her alive. The badger's thick hide filtered the worst of the vapor. Its body heat prevented hypothermia. And perhaps most importantly, its presence gave Da-Un hope. She was not alone in the dark anymore. Suddenly, new alarms blared. The door's lock mechanism began to grind and click. Lights on the control panel changed from red to yellow. Override successful, the security chief announced. Opening door in 3, 2, 1. The heavy door slid open. White vapor poured out into the corridor, rolling across the floor like a cold wave. Medical personnel rushed in wearing environmental suits and carrying breathing equipment. Bo-Ra tried to follow, but a Thoran security officer held her back. Dr. Kim, the vapor is still dangerous. Let the medical team work. Through the vapor, they could see the medical team reaching Dayun and Dubu. One medic, a human named Taiyang, knelt beside the child. Dayun, can you hear me? Dayun opened her eyes. Taiyang, is Dubu okay? Even now, after everything, the child was worried about the animal. Taiyang felt his throat tighten with emotion. Dubu is fine, little one, but we need to get you to medical. Can you let go of Dubu? Dawen shook her head and held tighter. No, Dubu stays with me. Dubu saved me. Tae Yang looked at his colleague, a medic named Hayun. They both knew honey badgers. They knew what the creature could do if it felt threatened, and right now Dubu was in a small space surrounded by strange humans in bulky suits. This could go very wrong, very fast. Hayun spoke into her communicator. Dr. Kim, we have a problem. The child will not release the animal, and the animal is showing signs of stress. If we try to separate them by force, it might attack. Bora did not hesitate. Let me through. Dr. Kim, the vapor. My daughter is in there. Let me through now. The security officer stepped aside. Bora grabbed a breathing mask from a nearby emergency kit and ran into the vapor-filled corridor. The cold hit her immediately, biting through her uniform. Her eyes watered. But she could see Daun ahead, still clutching Dubu. Daun, Bora called out. Sweetie, it is Mama. Daun looked up. Mama. Bora knelt beside her daughter and the honey badger. Dubu's eyes fixed on her, wary and defensive. The animal made a low warning sound. Bora moved slowly, keeping her hands visible. She had worked with animals long enough to understand body language. Good Dubu, Bora said softly. You protected her. You kept my baby safe. Thank you. The honey badger tilted its head, listening to her voice. The warning sound stopped. Bora reached out slowly and placed her hand on Daun's shoulder. Daun, we need to get you to the doctor. Your lungs need treatment, but Dubu can come too. I promise. Dubu will be right there with us. Promise? Daun asked, her voice weak. I promise. Slowly, Daun loosened her grip on Dubu. Bora lifted her daughter into her arms. Taeyang moved forward with a breathing mask and placed it over Daun's face. The little girl breathed in clean oxygen and immediately started coughing, her lungs clearing. Dubu stood up, shaking its fur. The badger looked at Daun being carried away. Then it looked at Bora. The message was clear. Where the child goes, I go. Come on, Dubu, Bora said. Let us get out of here. The honey badger followed them out of the corridor, walking alongside Bora like a guard dog. When they emerged from the vapor, the crowd of aliens pressed back in fear. But Dubu ignored them all. The badger only had eyes for Daun. Belthik watched them pass. His entire body trembled. He had just witnessed something that should not exist. A predator choosing to protect instead of kill. An alliance between species that had no evolutionary reason to trust each other. And somehow, impossibly, it worked. Humans, Belthik whispered to himself. They are not just fearless. They are something far more dangerous. They can make the fearless care. 3 months had passed since the incident. Daun had recovered completely, her lungs strong and healthy again. But something had changed on Colonial Outpost 7. The station was busier than ever before, filled with visitors who came for one specific reason. They wanted to see the honey badger and the child. Bora had been forced to establish visiting hours. Every day at noon, she brought Daun to a special observation area in the research lab. Dubu came too, of course. The honey badger never strayed far from the little girl anymore. And Daun never went anywhere without checking if Dubu could come along. Today was different, though. Today, representatives from the Galactic Council were visiting. These were not ordinary diplomats or scientists. These were the leaders who made decisions affecting billions of beings across dozens of worlds, and they had traveled all this way to see something that should not exist. Station Commander Ho Jin greeted the delegation personally. He was a tall human with gray hair and a calm, professional demeanor. Council members, welcome to Outpost 7. Dr. Kim and her daughter are ready for you. The lead council member was a Thorin named Belkix. She was ancient by Thorin standards, her skin showing the deep purple of age and wisdom. Commander Ho Jin, we appreciate your hospitality. But I must be honest. Many of us did not believe the footage was real. We thought it was edited or staged or some kind of human propaganda. Ho Jin smiled slightly. I did not believe it either, council member. Not until I returned to the station and saw it with my own eyes. Earth has many surprises. This is just one of them. They walked through the station corridors. Other council members followed behind Belkix. There was a Kelrix named Shextel, whose white feathers marked him as a philosopher. There was a Vrel named Korith, an expert in evolutionary biology. And there were others, each representing different worlds and different perspectives. They reached the research lab. Through the observation window, they could see Daun sitting on the floor, playing with colorful blocks. Next to her, lying peacefully, was Dubu. The honey badger watched the child play, occasionally sniffing at the blocks when Daun held them up. The council members pressed against the window. For a long moment, nobody spoke. They just stared. "It is real," Korath whispered. "By all the ancestors, it is actually real." Bora stood nearby, ready to answer questions. She had prepared for this meeting for weeks, but seeing the expressions on these powerful beings' faces made her realize no amount of preparation could explain Earth to those who had never experienced it. "May we enter?" Belkix asked. "I would like to see this interaction more closely." "Of course," Bora said. "But please move slowly and speak quietly. Dubu tolerates Dayun and myself, but it is still a wild animal. Sudden movements or loud noises might trigger defensive behavior." The council members filed into the observation area. Dayan looked up and smiled. "Hello. Are you here to meet Dubu?" Belkix's skin shifted to a soft green, the color of pleasant surprise. "Yes, little one. We have come a very long way to meet Dubu. And to meet you." Dayun stood up and walked over to the honey badger. She placed her small hand on Dubu's back. "Dubu is my friend. Dubu saved me when I was scared and cold." Dubu made a low rumbling sound and looked up at the child. The badger's eyes were calm, almost gentle. Then it looked at the aliens and the rumbling changed tone. Not aggressive, but watchful. The message was clear. The child is under protection. Shextal ruffled his feathers in amazement. "I have studied philosophy for 6 decades. I have written 17 books about consciousness and behavior, but I have never seen anything like this. The creature shows awareness of social bonds. It understands its role as guardian. Not just guardian," Bora added. "Friend. Dubu plays with Daun. Look." Daun picked up a soft ball and rolled it across the floor. Dubu watched the ball roll, then batted it back toward the child with one paw. Dayun giggled and rolled it again. Dubu batted it back. They continued this game while the most powerful beings in the galaxy watched in stunned silence. Korath made several rapid clicking sounds, a sign of extreme agitation in Vrel. "This breaks every model we have. Every theory. Every prediction. Predators do not play with prey. They do not form attachments. They do not choose protection over survival. On most worlds you would be correct," Bora said. "But Earth developed differently. Our world forced species to adapt in complex ways. Sometimes that meant cooperation. Sometimes that meant forming bonds that logic says should not exist." Belkix watched Daun and Dubu play for several more minutes. Then she turned to Bora. "Dr. Kim, the Council has been discussing Earth's role in the galactic community. Your species joined us only 15 years ago. You are still new, still learning our ways. But this—" She gestured at the child and the honey badger. "This changes everything." "How so?" Bora asked. "The galaxy has thousands of species. We have wars, disputes, misunderstandings. Many conflicts arise because we cannot bridge the gap between different ways of thinking. But humans—" Belkix's skin shifted to deep blue, the color of respect. "Humans seem to specialize in bridging impossible gaps. If you can communicate with creatures like this honey badger, perhaps you can help us communicate with each other." Hojin stepped forward. "Council member, are you suggesting Earth take on a diplomatic role?" "More than that. We are suggesting Earth become a center for interspecies understanding, a place where beings from different worlds can learn to see past their differences. Because if humans learn to befriend their predators, perhaps they can teach the rest of us to befriend our neighbors." Velthik, who had been standing in the corner, clicked his mandibles for attention. "Council member Belkix, I have been on this station since the incident. I have watched Dr. Kim work with Earth animals. I have watched humans interact with other species. And I have realized something." "Yes?" Belkix prompted. "We feared humans because we thought they were dangerous. We saw their capacity for violence, their weapons, their history of warfare. But we missed the important part. Humans are not dangerous because they can kill. Humans are dangerous because they can choose not to. They can look at something deadly and see potential for friendship. That makes them the most powerful force in the galaxy." The council members absorbed this statement. It was not what they had expected. Most new species tried to prove their strength, their technology, their military might. But Earth's strength was different. It was softer, stranger, and somehow more intimidating than any weapon. Daun picked up Dubu, struggling slightly under the badger's weight. Dubu allowed this, remaining relaxed as the child hugged it. "I love Dubu," Dayun announced to everyone. "Dubu is the best friend ever." The honey badger made its rumbling sound again. If an animal could sound content, Dubu did. Shextel spoke up. Dr. Kim, I would like to propose something. I want to establish an institute, a place where beings from across the galaxy can come to study Earth's approach to interspecies relationships. Your work here has shown us that our understanding of biology, behavior, and bonding is incomplete. We need to learn from Earth. Will you help us? Bora looked at her daughter playing with a creature that should have been her predator. She thought about all the other impossible friendships Earth had fostered over millions of years. Humans and dogs, humans and cats, humans and horses, humans and birds, and now apparently humans and honey badgers. Yes, Bora said, I will help, but on one condition. Name it. Do not try to make this about Earth being special. We are not special. We are just the product of our world. Any species that grew up on Earth would have learned these lessons. The planet taught us. The animals taught us. The environment taught us. Earth's gift is not what humans are. It is what Earth made us become. Belkix's skin shifted through several colors before settling on a warm orange. You are wise, Dr. Kim, and humble. These are good traits for someone who will help shape galactic understanding. We accept your condition. That night, after the council members had left, Bora sat in her quarters and wrote in her personal journal. She had kept this journal since arriving at the station, recording her observations and thoughts. Tonight's entry was different. Today, the Galactic Council saw what I see every day, a child and a honey badger, playing together like it is the most natural thing in the universe. To them, it is a miracle. To the sun, it is just Tuesday. I think that is the real lesson Earth has to teach. On our world, miracles happen every day. A wolf becomes a dog. A wild cat becomes a companion. A deadly badger becomes a guardian. These things seem impossible to everyone else, but to us they are just part of life. The galaxy is learning that humans are dangerous, but not for the reasons they thought. We are dangerous because we refuse to accept that some gaps cannot be bridged. We look at the deadliest creature and ask, could we be friends? And sometimes, impossibly, the answer is yes. Bora closed her journal and looked out the window. Stars filled the darkness of space, countless worlds with countless species. How many of them could learn what Earth had learned? How many could move past fear and find friendship? In the next room, Daun slept peacefully, and on the floor beside her bed, curled up like a guardian statue, Dubu slept too. The medical bay was crowded. Dayun lay on a specialized bed designed for human children. Tubes delivered oxygen to her lungs. Monitors beeped softly, showing her vital signs. Dr. Ha-Yun examined the readings and nodded with relief. She will be fine, Ha-Yun told Bora. Her lungs are irritated from the coolant vapor, but there is no permanent damage. A few days of treatment and rest and she will be running around again. Bora closed her eyes and let out a long breath she did not know she had been holding. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank the honey badger, Ha-Yun said with a strange smile. According to the medical scans, Da-Yun should have suffered severe hypothermia and toxic exposure. But something kept her warm and shielded her from the worst of the vapor. That thing saved her life. That thing was currently lying on the floor next to Da-Un's bed. Dubu had refused to return to the research lab. When security tried to move the honey badger, it had snarled and shown its teeth. The message was clear. The badger was staying with the child. Bora had finally convinced security to allow it. Dubu will not hurt anyone as long as Da-Un is safe, she promised. And trying to force it out will only cause problems. So now, in the pristine medical bay of a space station at the edge of known space, one of Earth's most dangerous predators lay peacefully on the floor, occasionally glancing up to check on the sleeping child. Outside the medical bay, a crowd had gathered. Word of the incident had spread throughout the entire station. Aliens from a dozen different species pressed against the windows, trying to see the honey badger and the child. Veltik stood at the front of the crowd. He had not left since they brought Da-Un in. He could not leave. What he had witnessed had shaken something deep inside him. He needed to understand. Bora stepped out of the medical bay to update everyone. The moment she appeared, dozens of questions erupted from the crowd. How is your offspring? What happened in there? Why did the predator not attack? Is this normal Earth behavior? Bora raised her hands, calling for quiet. The crowd settled down, though their curiosity remained intense. She could see it in their eyes, in their posture, in the way they leaned forward to catch every word. My daughter will recover fully. Bora said. Thanks to Dubu, she survived long enough for rescue. Casrel stepped forward. His skin was still pale from shock. Dr. Kim, I speak for many when I say we do not understand what we saw. On my world, predators and prey never interact except during the hunt. There are no exceptions. No bonds, no protection, only survival. Yet your Earth creature broke this fundamental rule. How? Bora looked at the faces around her. She saw fear, confusion, curiosity. These beings had traveled across stars. They had built civilizations spanning solar systems. But Earth biology confused them in ways that advanced physics did not. Earth is different, she began. Our world has more biodiversity than most planets in the known galaxy. We have millions of species, all competing, all surviving, all evolving together in the same environment. This created something unique. Vix tilted her head. Many worlds have competition. That does not explain protection across species lines. You are right. Competition alone does not explain it. But Earth also has cooperation, not just within species, but between species. We have birds that clean the teeth of crocodiles. We have fish that protect sea anemones. We have ants that farm fungus. Earth life learned that sometimes helping another species helps yourself. But honey badgers are solitary, Telmac pointed out. They do not form packs. They do not need others. Why would one protect a human child? Bora smiled sadly. I have been studying that question for 6 months. I think Dayun and Dubu formed a bond that neither of them chose consciously. Dayun approached Dubu without fear from the very first day. She brought treats. She talked softly. She never threatened. And Dubu, perhaps for the first time in its life, did not see a threat in return. Just curiosity. Just kindness. Kindness. Belthik repeated the word slowly. This is the human emotion, yes? Treating others well without expecting benefit? Yes. And your species evolved this emotion? It was beneficial for survival? Very beneficial. Humans survived because we learned to work together, not just with other humans but with other species. Thousands of generations ago, we made friends with wolves. We fed them scraps from our hunts. They warned us of dangers. Eventually, those wolves became dogs. They became companions. Bora gestured toward the medical bay. We did the same with cats, horses, birds, even some reptiles. We learned their languages. We learned to communicate without words. We learned that not every strong creature wants to fight. Some just want to be understood. The crowd absorbed this information in silence. Many of them were scientists. They understood evolution and adaptation. But this was beyond their models. Their worlds had predators and prey, yes, but there was always a clear line. You were one or the other. There was no middle ground. Earth seemed to have nothing but middle ground. A young Kelrick student raised her wing. Dr. Kim, I watched Earth videos before coming to the station. I saw human children playing with creatures you call dogs and cats. I thought those animals were modified somehow, made safe. But the honey badger is not modified, correct? Correct. Dubu is a wild honey badger. I brought it from Earth for research. It has all its natural instincts and abilities. Then why does it not attack? The student pressed. Everything I read says honey badgers attack anything. They fear nothing. They have been recorded fighting lions, leopards, even packs of wild dogs. Why would such a creature protect a small, weak human child? Bora paused. This was the question she had been asking herself. The question that kept her awake at night, scribbling notes and reviewing footage. I think, she said slowly, it is because Daun never acted like prey. Prey runs, prey shows fear, prey tries to escape. Taeyun did none of those things. She approached Dubu with curiosity and gentleness. And maybe, just maybe, Dubu recognized that as something valuable, something worth protecting. You are saying the honey badger understands complex emotions? Telmac sounded skeptical. I am saying Earth animals are more emotionally complex than we give them credit for. Yes, they hunt. Yes, they kill. But they also play. They grieve. They remember. They form attachments. The galaxy has been studying humans for 15 years, trying to understand what makes us special. I think the answer is not what we are. The answer is where we came from. Bora looked around at the alien faces. We came from a world where everything was dangerous, where the weather could kill you, where the plants could poison you, where the animals could tear you apart. But we survived, not by being stronger than everything else, not by being smarter than everything else. We survived by learning to communicate with the things that could kill us, by finding common ground, by building relationships. She pointed at the medical bay. That honey badger should have killed my daughter. According to every model, every prediction, every rule of nature that you know, it should have attacked. But it did not. Because Earth taught us something different. Earth taught us that the strongest alliances are the ones nobody expects. Veltic felt his understanding of the universe shift. He had thought humans were dangerous because they were violent, because they had weapons and strategies and ships. But he was wrong. Humans were dangerous because they could take violence and turn it into loyalty. They could look at a creature designed to kill and see a potential friend. If humans could befriend honey badgers, what else could they do? What other impossible things were waiting to be discovered? Dr. Kim, Veltic said quietly. May I send the security footage to other stations? Other worlds? Bora hesitated. Then she nodded. Yes, send it. Let them see what Earth is capable of. Not our weapons, not our technology, our compassion. That night, security footage of a honey badger protecting a human child began spreading across the galactic network. It reached trading posts and research stations. It reached alien governments and scientific institutes. It reached billions of beings who thought they understood how nature worked. And everywhere it went, it asked the same question. If humans can do this with their predators, what might they do with us?